Like you meet a gay person and suddenly you're dead.
Go to conversion therapy because they want to save you from AIDS.
Retreats that were like passion for purity that were all about saving yourself from marriage. In Oklahoma City, they had a gay club for people under the age of 18. So if you were gay, you get AIDS and then you die.
Welcome to my channel, guys. My name is Art. Today I'm not alone. I'm here with my friend Sébastien. Sébastien, hello.
Hello, hello.
We met very randomly in Chicago in Boys Town, and he gave me an interview outside, and I was like, hey, you live in New York City, would you like to talk a little bit more? He's from Oklahoma, and I want to ask you, when did you realize that you were gay?
Growing up, I didn't even really know what gay was. It wasn't something that, we didn't watch gay things. It was a very conservative, rural community. Went to church, 3 times a week.
You did?
Yeah, so Sunday morning, Sunday evening, Wednesday evening, so there's lots of church. So, gay just wasn't really a thing. So, I always had an idea that I liked boys, but I didn't know what that meant. If anything gay came on television, my mother would change the channel. We didn't have cable or anything like that, so we didn't have any outside influences. There were lots of TV shows that we wouldn't watch because my mother didn't want that sort of stuff in the house. And so, I didn't really start to realize I was gay until I was probably in my teens, like 13 or 14, and I started to learn that was, a thing and something that existed, I guess you could say. So
I think it's important to clarify, because you said that it was a long time ago. Can we ask you, how old are you?
Yeah, I'll be 36 next month.
Well, Sébastien looks fantastic for being 36. So you say that there was nothing. Did you have internet when you were like 13, 14, or how was it?
So this was, again, rural Oklahoma and before high-speed internet. So we had dial-up, and again, my mother, she used computers at work, so she didn't care to use them at home. So we had a computer, but it was dial-up. So you're way too young to even know what it is, but this is called Net Zero. So those little discs you put in the computer, and you got so many.
I had this.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, and you had so many free hours of internet every month. So I had it, but it would use up our phone line, so I'd have to wait till my mother went to bed and then use it. It couldn't be used during the time whenever anyone was at home, because then we didn't have a phone. So I had internet, but it was 56K. It was very, very slow. This was pre-YouTube, pre-anything, so it was...
As you say, you went to church a lot. So when you were like 13, 14, you realized you were gay. What were your thoughts? You felt like a little bit scared already because in church, did they tell you in church that it's not great? How does it work? Because for me, I don't know. Before I moved here, I did not know that church is so against gay people. I didn't know if they say it's in Bible. I don't even know, because I didn't even know what Christmas is. I thought it's like New Year's Eve. So, I had zero influence from church. I've been in church 3 times in my life.
Wow.
So yeah, maybe 4. But no. So what did they tell you in church or at school? Because in my city it was just, okay, if you're gay, you're F word, but no one explained why. So
I was Southern Baptist, which is a very conservative denomination. I was very anti-gay. To be honest, they're very anti lots of things. When I realized that I was probably gay, in my mind, I was still obviously going to marry a woman. I was still going to live the life that was expected of me and everything like that. The idea of having, even when I realized I was gay, the idea of having a boyfriend was just such a foreign concept that it wasn't even anything that I didn't fantasize oh, I want to one day have a boyfriend and get married. None of that it was so foreign and so not a reality. It didn't even cross my mind. Gay marriage was not even anything that was talked about. Honestly, my biggest fear was that I was going to get AIDS and die, because that is the kind of talk. That's the kind of thing that you're told and brought up. That was my association. If you were gay, you get AIDS and then you die. And that was, it was very
not
dramatic.
A promising future.
No, it was not very promising. So
when did it change? When did you move? Did you have a coming out story or no?
I didn't know any gay people growing up. There were none that were out in my school. When I was in high school, so I lived, like I said, in a small rural town. Oklahoma City was about an hour away from me, and I got a job at what was, at that point, a very popular, cool place to work called Hollister, as everyone in the early, mid-2000s loved to go to. And that's where I met my first, out gay person,
wow,
which just, blew my mind.
How old you were?
I was 17.
Okay.
And so that was really just such a strange concept to me. And obviously it was Hollister, and there were lots of gay people, and it was a city, not a little small town. So I started getting surrounded by it. There was, in Oklahoma City, they had a gay club for people under the age of 18, so I could go to that.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And so then I started going out on the weekends and meeting other people, but I was still very hesitant because, again, my upbringing, like I would go to like weekend retreats that were like Passion for Purity, that were all about saving yourself for marriage, and like signed multiple like purity contracts and like banners, and everything was about saving yourself for marriage and finding the perfect wife and all of this stuff. So even whenever I did come out, I didn't suddenly go wild and do all of these things that so many people do, because I was, again, still terrified, one, I was going to die of AIDS somehow, just immediately. Like you meet a gay person and suddenly you're dead. I don't know.
Do your parents know now?
Yes. So my mother
What was
and
their reaction like?
So, so my father, they started getting an idea, and so, but I wasn't coming out to anyone. So my father and my stepmother actually created a coming out story for me, and they told my grandmother and my aunt. And so one day I'm at home and I get a call from my aunt saying, your father just told us, and we just want to let you know that we still love you and support you. And I was absolutely just completely lost about what they were talking about. No clue. And they're like, oh yeah, your dad and stepmom, they came and they told us that you have a boyfriend down in Texas. And this whole coming out story, they said you told them about it and you cried to them and all this stuff. And they concocted an entire story. All of it was not true at all. I mean, yes, I was gay, and yes, I did have a boyfriend in Texas, actually, but all the rest of that, I never told them anything.
Did you ask your parents what happened?
No, I actually just kind of stopped talking to my father and stepmom for a couple of years because I felt they took something away that should have been my story to tell. But I lived with my mother, and I remember after I broke up with my first boyfriend, who she had met and everything, but again, I never said, oh, this is my boyfriend. After we broke up.
It's my roommate.
yeah. But of course, it was someone who lived in another state. So, and after we broke up, and I was just absolutely distraught, I remember she sat me down and asked me if I liked boys. And I told her that I didn't like anyone, boys or girls, and that we were not to ever speak about this again. And this was not a conversation we were going to have. And then we didn't talk about it again until she brought it up, like right before I got married. When she brought it up, she's like, I can't go to the wedding because it was in Vermont. We've never actually sat down and spoke about it, but she loves and supports me, and she loved my ex, and she's met multiple boyfriends and all of that. So
they're very into church, right? Overall, it was okay reaction, right, to you when you came out, or like when they figured it out. So it was an okay reaction for them, right? They didn't try to like beat you up and like go to conversion therapy because they want to save you from AIDS.
Overall, it was fine. I will say my father and mother separated and divorced when I was in like first or second grade, and he's been with my stepmother since then. And they were not church-going people at all, so he had no reason to.
Got it.
My mother, again, she worked for a university that was a Southern Baptist university, all that. She had every reason to be super conservative, but I was very lucky that my grandparents, my mother, my family they were all very liberal-leaning Democrats in a very, very red, very, very conservative state. So I was very lucky. I have many friends who were not so lucky, especially during undergrad, who got kicked out of their house, their home, their families, the school itself. But I was very, very lucky that I did not have to deal with any of that from my family.
Okay, so I want to learn for myself.
Okay.
What Bible says about the gay people, if you can tell, or like what's the interpretation of Bible that you read says about gay people? Because I constantly get like John 16:54, Michael 5:07, Anna Delvis 0105, and they constantly come to my comments. I want to clear it up for myself.
So here's the thing. The Bible has been translated and transcribed, and there are all these different versions of it. You can find a Bible verse for literally anything that you want to do or that you don't want to do. You can make a case for anything with the Bible, and I think that's obviously why so many people flock to it, because they can use it as an excuse for either their love of people or their hatred of groups or exclusion of other people, because the Bible is so vast and covers so many things that it can be bent to whatever belief or purpose or desire you have.
The Bible you read, what they were saying?
So the King James Version was various things like man shall not lie with another man. Again.
Did they say if they lie, what happens? Like,
yeah, you're going to hell. Okay. If you're gay, you're going to hell. All of that. The Southern Baptists were very, very conservative. Like no women pastors, no women in leadership roles. Like if you look at the origin of the Southern Baptist denomination, it's not good. Like just say like slavery was involved, and their views on that had a lot to do with the founding of the Southern Baptist denomination. And honestly, not much has changed since then, and I do hope they come for me, because that, I do not care.
There's someone who is watching who is might be 30 years old or might be 15 or 50, and they go to the same church as you. What would be your advice on how do you accept yourself and you move on with your life and you actually love yourself and you realize that you're not gonna die from AIDS? You might die in a car crash, probably bigger possibility.
I think the biggest thing is, I mean, when you grow up in a church, that is your community, that is the people that you meet. Like growing up in Oklahoma, as soon as you meet someone, like one of the first few sentences or within the first few days of meeting someone, they invite you to church, or they ask you where you're going to church. And so that becomes such a big part of your community and your life that you think that if I don't have this, I have nothing. I have to start over. And so being gay means you can't be a part of that for a lot of these communities. So you think, if I choose to believe or accept that I am gay and I want to live an authentic life, I'm going to lose all of these people that matter to me and this whole community that's been around me my whole life. But the thing is, it's not a community you want to be a part of if they're not going to accept you for who you are. And I promise you, there are so many other people out there who will. And you don't even have to leave religion. There's so many gay people who, again, still go to churches and still believe in God and have Christianity. You just find a different community that will accept you, and there's no reason. It becomes very insular, and you think
that's what was stopping you, because you were afraid that you're not gonna find friends.
Yeah, I mean, I was afraid I was gonna lose my friends, because again, it's not something that was ever talked about. Things have changed a lot since I was a child, and things in Oklahoma are very different than things are here in New York. And so anything like that.
Did you lost any friends since they find out in Oklahoma?
And that's the thing, my friends they were great. They were all gay.
They all came out.
I mean, some of them have since then, which is crazy to me. But no, everyone was very accepting and loving, and I will say I was very lucky and very blessed.
Were they girls or guys, or
it was
mixed?
Predominantly girls for me. I always felt I was raised by my mother, sister, and very strong grandmother. So I always had a strong female presence in my life, and always felt very comfortable around girls and women. So
a lot of gay people too.
Yeah, and so that's what I was always around. I had a few guy friends, but in general, it was all women. They've all been fabulous.
Okay. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that you came here to us.
Thank you so much. It was fun.
I learned a lot. Finally, I know what they say, in this book. I wanted to say thank you, and I want to ask you guys, what are your thoughts on religion? And if you were religious, if you're religious now, what are your thoughts on Bible, how it interprets? I've never met I met Catholic people and Christian people, but I've never met Southern Baptist people, like first time for me. And I heard that it might be very conservative. So let me know in comments if religion stopped you from coming out at some point, or if religion stopped you from being you. And how did you deal with this? What would be your one advice? I'm definitely gonna leave the links to Sébastien Twitter and Instagram. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe if you're new here, stay kind, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.